What's going on, y'all? Grind and Motivate back in this thing again, man, with another video. And today we have some beef between a son and a father. And if you don't know who these two folks are, you got 50 Cent on the right and 50 Cent's son, Marquis Jackson, on the left. And recently in these internet streets, Marquis Jackson has been going viral for being seemingly ungrateful. And I would like to ask you if you think that he is indeed ungrateful, or does he have a genuine grievance? I would also like to ask you if you think that he's a son husband. But first, what is a son husband? So I grabbed this definition off of urbandictionary.com. They actually had a real definition on Google. I'm not sure if it was Webster's or not, but I didn't agree with it because it was talking about strictly immigrants, when I feel like son husband syndrome can apply to anyone from anywhere. And it says, when a son knowingly or unknowingly takes the role of a husband to their mother, excluding SE-actuals. The mother is often overprotective and jealous of her son's serious relationships. This is a common disorder with single moms. An example of the husband, son, mom, wife syndrome is Mama D and Scrappy. And I could agree that's a great example. I will say that most moms are pretty protective of their son's relationships, but they don't get to the point of little Scrappy's mom. So that's a great one. Another example I would say would be like maybe the mom manipulating your mind to think that, you know, you should do her bidding at all points in time. Look at the guy who shot the McDonald's workers because of cold fries, and his mom said they were talking about her and all that kind of stuff, and he went to the point where he was going to take it there. Idiotic son husband, beta male. Another real example that I have would be one of Angie's friends said that her boyfriend was listening to his mom to the point where he decided he was going to dump her because she didn't like his girlfriend. And I think that a lot of Asian people really, really respect their parents. And I think that's a good thing. But sometimes I think that it could be to their detriment. Like, there are certain things that your parents want you to do that don't fit your mold. There are certain things that your parents want you to do that don't make you happy. And I think sometimes you have to go into your own path and see for yourself. And that's one of the situations that I think it is. Like if a girl actually treats you well and makes you happy, and your mom just doesn't like her for some reason, it's like, bro, get your ass on, man. If she makes you happy, she's splashing you out, doing all that good stuff, it is what it is, man. If your mom wants you to do something that doesn't fit what you want to do, maybe you will have a different career path in mind, and she doesn't, I don't think that you should go with that career path. It's not going to make you happy, and you're not going to give it your all. So yeah, you should listen to your moms and respect your parents and all that kind of stuff, but you know, you have to go your own path. And in this video, we're going to determine whether or not Marquis is indeed a son husband. Also, we're going to break down various ways that you may be son husbanding and how to stop that, and how to, you know, sit there and take a quick breath and be like, man, I'm bugging right now. And one thing I'll say about some of these manosphere guys and their definition of son husband, I believe Coach Greg Adams was saying stuff like, yeah, just because your mom did what she was supposed to do as a mom doesn't mean that you help her out when you get up. Kevin Durant shouldn't help his mom. I guess Kevin Durant is kind of a son husband in a way, but not for real. Like, I don't think it's a crime to help your parents or help your mom once you get up. If you got your money up and your mom is still struggling, I think you're a sucker. You ain't even a son husband. You were just a sucker. You should help your mom out because she did sacrifice to you. She was a good mom, and she sacrificed, and she helped you get to where you are. She was a person that maybe helped you get that extra equipment that you needed for this sport. She made sure that you got sent to this school. She made sure you had a car. She made sure you ate. All these kind of things are sacrifices that I think shouldn't go unrewarded, I guess, if you're able to get up to a point. And I think it's only natural to kind of take care of your parents as you get older. You know, you're the man now. But that's just my thoughts. Let's get into this video and see what 50 Cent has to say.
I'm $1 million nigga. Yeah. My son gonna be $1 million nigga. I'm $1 billion nigga. My son gonna be $1 billion nigga.
Sometimes when you've been hurt a lot and you've done your share of the hurting too, it feels best to walk away. I came extremely close not long ago after I unexpectedly bumped into Marquis in my jeweler's store in Manhattan. I didn't even know he was in the city at the time, so I was shocked to see him. I tried to start a conversation, but he immediately accused me of having him followed. I told him that was crazy, but things only went downhill from there.
So Marquis, I don't really get it, bro. You stopped at his jewelry store. You stopped at 50 Cent's jewelry store, and then when 50 Cent's, I guess, workers or whatever said, "Hey, bro, your son is up here," and he came through to see you, you said, "You having me follow? What are you doing at his jewelry store, bro? You obviously wanted to be there. You wanted to see him. You was probably expecting some free jewelry or something like that because you're entitled little sucker. But let's go."
The energy between us was terrible. Marquis even said, "What, I'm supposed to be afraid of you?" That really messed my head up. This was my firstborn son, my own flesh and blood, and we couldn't even speak to each other, let alone hug and laugh at an unexpected encounter. Finally, without a word, Marquis basically fled the store, leaving me dumbfounded. A couple of my guys went down to the street and tried to catch up with Marquis and say, "Why are you bugging? This is your father. Come talk to him." But Marquis had already disappeared. He didn't want to be found. I couldn't even follow them into the street. My mind was fuzzy and I couldn't think straight. I had to take several minutes to compose myself. Entitlement creates resentment.
So I'm saying it's a different lifestyle. When you're accustomed to different shit, it's different, bro. So you telling me, hold on, I got a question. So you telling me your child should be privy to the same lifestyle as Elon Musk's children?
So I'd say that clip was an example of entitlement creating resentment because he feels that if his dad is living that lifestyle, that he should automatically be living that lifestyle even though him and his mom are not separate or not together. And I'd like to ask you what you think about that. Do you think that if the son doesn't live with the mom, he should live like how the mom lives? And then if he decides to live with the dad, he can live like how the dad lives? How do you feel about that? If 50 Cent's sending money, does that suffice for the fact that he's not there? Let me know.
There have been a lot of disappointing moments in my relationship with Marquis over the past few years. But the lowest was when I saw him post a picture of himself with Kyle McGriff, the son of Kenneth Supreme McGriff. Without rehashing too much bad history, Kenneth McGriff was one of the biggest drug dealers in Queens, and the man the authorities believe was behind the attempt on my life. So by posing with his son, Marquis was basically co-signing the individual who might have tried to have his father killed.
Yeah, that's a different level of resentment right there. I'm not really sure about all that. Even if you don't get along with your dad, unless he actually did something to you, I'm not really sure that you could resent him to the point where you would take a picture with the son of his potential killer. I don't understand that. That to me is a little bit over the top, a little OD right there.
I had known Marquis resented me for a while, but I never imagined he would hate me so much that he'd allow himself to be used as a prop by my enemy. Someone recently sent me a quote from Benjamin Franklin that really resonated with me. Franklin's son had sided with the British in the Revolutionary War, despite the fact that his father was one of the leaders of the revolution. It messed with Ben Franklin for the rest of his life. He wrote, "Nothing has ever hurt me so much and affected me with such keen sensation as to find myself deserted in my old age by my only son, and not only deserted, but to find him taking up arms against me, and a cause wherein my good fame, fortune, and life were all at stake." Marquis might not have been literally taking up arms against me, but he was standing next to the son of someone who might have. I could recognize Franklin's pain. I spent a lot of time searching my soul, trying to understand what could make a son forsake his father like that. I've tried to put myself in Marquis' shoes.
And I'm not really sure how 50 Cent treated the mom or how he treated Marquis behind the scenes. And I'm not really sure if the fact that, he wasn't able to be there all the time because maybe he was making rap songs and videos and touring and all that kind of stuff was, the main reason why they didn't like him or, they separated or whatnot. But let me know what you think about that. Do you think that 50 Cent caused a rift and he is kind of not really saying that, or he's kind of more so just putting all the blame on Marquis? Or do you think that Marquis is a bitch? Let's go.
Just as he doesn't know what it's like to grow up under the circumstances I did, I don't know what it was like to grow up as the son of 50 Cent. Certainly on the surface, he had everything he wanted. But there must have been pressures and insecurities from being my son that I can't identify with. I accept that. I still can't see how those pressures and insecurities would force a child to go against his own father, especially a father who has provided everything for him. As I go over our relationship in my mind, The only answer that I can come up with is that I actually might have done too much for Marquis. How do you make a privileged child feel deprived or angry? I guess by getting him whatever he wants. Like many kids from his generation, Marquis has always been into sneakers. Because he's my son, he couldn't just rock any old sneakers either. If a new pair of Jordans came out, he had to have them right away. If Marquis asked for a pair of Jordans on Monday, his mother would make sure they were on his feet by Tuesday. It still didn't make him happy. Instead of being excited to rock his new pair of Jordans, all Marquis could think about was all of the retro Jordans he didn't have, all the different flyaways and colors that weren't in his closet. When he should have felt gratification, all he really felt was disappointment.
Yeah, that's definitely a little bit of entitlement right there, man. Your mom gets you the pair of shoes you asked for the very next day. Boy, stop, boy. You definitely entitled, man. I remember goddamn rocking the Reebok Classics with the hole in them for a long time. So I'm not really messing with you right there, Marquis. You sound like a beat right there. But let's go.
I could not relate. The kid didn't have a job, but somehow wanted to collect $300 sneakers, and then still felt unhappy when he actually got them? His entire mindset was alien to me. I have to believe his mother was behind his disappointment. He thought he could have every sneaker ever made, even though he hadn't actually earned any of them. He's not regular, she would tell me when I asked why he needed another new pair. He's your son. She had already established the pattern that you didn't have to work for something to get it. Marquis was just following her lead. I didn't want that sense of entitlement to become a core part of who he was. I was determined to help him learn that he would actually be much happier when he worked for the things he wanted, that their value would increase exponentially. One day I was driving through Harlem when I noticed that a sneaker store was going out of business on 125th Street. My mind immediately flashed to my son. Marquis loves sneakers, so I pulled over to see if I can grab him a couple of pairs on the cheap. Being naturally inquisitive, I asked the owner why he was going out of business if sneakers were so hot. He explained that he picked the wrong location and never got enough foot traffic to make it work. My mind started clicking. Say, how much do you pay for a pair of Air Force Ones, I asked. About $40, he told me. And how much you sell them for? About $80. That seemed like a pretty solid profit margin to me. What are you going to do with all these Air Forces now, I asked. I don't know, he said. Probably just stash them in my basement till I figure out my next move. I tell you what, I told him. I'm going to buy the rest of the inventory from you right now at cost. The guy jumped at my offer. Suddenly, I was the new owner of a couple hundred pairs of Nikes. I hatched a plan. Marquis was in Atlanta, where I knew storage space was cheap. I would ship the sneakers down to him, where he could put them in a warehouse. Instead of opening up a brick and mortar shop, which would have taken a lot of investment and depended on foot traffic, he could set up an internet site selling sneakers, what is referred to as direct-to-consumer sales. All it would require would be for him to run the site and maybe hire a friend to manage the warehouse side of things. The idea felt like a winner. As soon as I left the shop, I called up my son. Yo, Marquis, you know how you always been fascinated with shoes? I asked. Well, I just figured out a way you can afford them yourself and start to earn a little money of your own too. I broke down the whole plan for him. I explained how it was a great opportunity that would not only support his passion, but allow him to get a nuts and bolts understanding of how business works. This is a layup, I told him. Not too many stores get to start off with free inventory. You could really do something with this. If you're truly passionate about sneakers, this is the time to show it. Marquis said all the right things on the phone, how excited he was and how it sounded like a great opportunity.
Boy, stop, Marquis. Boy, you sound like an entitled, spoiled, stupid, no-hustle brat right there, bro. Bro, I wish my dad would give me a whole bunch of shoes and be like, hey, sell these, and we're going to get you right. Boy, I would have been like, hey, Mike. He'd be like, hey, bro, what you got going on? I'd be like, hey, man, I got a whole bunch of shoes. I need you to do the logistics. She would have been like, okay, yeah, we need these shoes drop here, and these shoes drop there. And we would have been moving units in the city, boy. Units in the city like shot it low, boy. Hey, you talking about them folks would have been like, he's moving bricks. He's moving bricks. There's no way a young kid could be getting money like this. But she didn't have no hustle about yourself, Marquis. So you couldn't get the money. I wish my dad would have gave me a layup like that, or even just, gave me a little bit of something. My dad didn't really hardly give me nothing, man. I'm not trying to be out here like everybody else. But it's the truth, man. Even when I worked for my dad as a kid at 12, we cut grass all summer, hot, sweltering heat. I was 12. We cut like 6 yards a day, and I'm cutting front and back. You know that cutting grass, while it is the most cut and dry, it's the hardest part, and we had to push more. I didn't have no goddamn riding lawnmower like the Mexicans or nothing like that, so it was hard work. I'm pushing it up hills. I'm pushing it on the side of hills, keeping the balance. I'm making sure that the measurements are right, so I'm not cutting the grass too low, all that kind of stuff, man. I'm only 12. So at the end of that, he didn't pay me anything. He didn't pay me for that. And a lot of folks is probably like, well, he is your dad. You probably on your manosphere stuff. He is your dad. He's keeping the lights on. And he's keeping the house fed. Nah, bruh. Nah, he just kept the money for himself. That's all. He just kept the money for himself. He didn't do anything for anybody in the house. So that's why, if y'all don't remember, I posted that community video where the dude fought his dad and all that kind of stuff, and he was talking about it because some of the stuff he said in there was real. I felt it, man. It was just real. And
I'm gonna be a way better father than you. What? You the sorriest. You the sorriest.
Where's this coming from? What are you talking about?
You watched Mom struggle.
Dude, what are you talking about?
You watched all of us struggle just to start your stupid business.
From that experience right there and many others, I lost respect and I lost trust for my dad. And it kind of, it jaded me, and it turned into, losing respect and trust for others, because if your own dad would do that to you and treat you like that, then, how are you supposed to really trust anybody else? I mean, I have gotten better as time has went on, but still, like that's just real. And even when my parents divorced, my mom, she never sat and talked trash about him or anything like that. I came to my own conclusions about my dad, the way he treated us and the way, he cheated me right there. He backdoored me like I was a street N-word on the landscape, and like I was some Mexican that just came across the border looking for work, and he used me for work, and he pulled the gun out and was like, get the hell out of here. He treated me like that, so I didn't like that. And even when they got, when they was arguing on the phone and all that kind of stuff, I might have heard, and she never talked no trash about him. She never did. So that's just on me, the way I think about him. I feel like I'm justified, but if you don't feel like I'm justified, I don't know what the hell you got going on. My sister, she really doesn't like him, and I understand why he did treat her a little bit worse. But yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing I really got out of that whole thing was, learning how to cut grass and hustle for myself. My grandma used to let me use the lawnmower, and I cut her grass and cut a couple other folks' grass so I can get a haircut, get a little extra money for a haircut. But then even when I did have some extra money, man, I let him borrow my money. He didn't even give me my money back, bro. He never gave my money back. So yeah, man, that's just how I feel about it, man. But let's keep going and listening to Marquis' story. I hate to go on a tangent.
So I had the shoes shipped down to Atlanta. Then I never heard from him about it again. Weeks and months passed. Finally, one day, his mother called me and announced that she and Marquis been talking. Instead of an online sneaker store, they wanted to open a clothing boutique in Atlanta. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The plan I envisioned didn't include her. I wanted our son to learn how to be responsible for himself. By injecting herself into the mix, she was just trying to keep him a boy a little longer. I still wanted Marquis to get some experience, so I said, sure, let me know when you guys want to do something. But of course, their boutique never went anywhere. And the online sneaker shop didn't either.
So while I do feel like 50 Cent did his son an extreme solid and his heart was in the right place, I think that he kind of fumbled it in a little bit of way, because I went on his son's page, as you can see right here, 199 Vic is his name, and it says 50 Cent's 13-year-old son Marquis planning to open an online sneaker store. So that means that Marquis was only 13 years old. I'm thinking Marquis is running around here like 17, 18 or something like that. He's only 13 years old. And 50, you already stated that, he doesn't have the same kind of drive and hustle that you had as a kid. He didn't come from the same circumstances that you had. So I think that, while you did just give him the shoes and that was great, I think that you probably should have managed it a little harder. You should have been all the way on top of it. And that way his mom wouldn't have been able to get in there and mess things up. I'll also say, yeah, it's definitely his mom's fault. The mom is a bitch. She's a straight up bitch. Well, no question about it. You hate your dad. You hate the 50 so much that you mess up your son's opportunity and tell him, yeah, let's get to a boutique. That don't even sound like nothing that a young boy with one. I could see an online shoe store. I could see that as a young boy. But a boutique, that's not even anything that was in my vocabulary as a kid. A boutique. A boutique. So I'll say right there, 50 Cent, you kind of fumbled a little bit because you could have been more on top of it. Your son is only 13 years old. All us at 13, yeah, we might have had different backgrounds and everything like that. But for the most part, you're not really out here hustle shot like that. I mean, you could probably do basic things like I said I was with the cutting grass and everything like that. But to sit there and think that your son's going to sit there and know the logistics to open an online store and sit there and not get cheated by random customers and all this kind of stuff is a little asinine on your part, man. But the mom, too. Mom, you garbage. You should have sat there and let your son try to be himself instead of trying to make him a son husband. But y'all let me know what y'all think about it. Let's get it.
My issue with Marquis wasn't that he wanted all those sneakers. When I was a kid, I wanted sneakers too. The difference is that I was willing, make that determined, to do the work necessary to obtain them. I wouldn't for a second want Marquis to have to resort to the type of work I put in to get my kicks. At the time, I perceived selling drugs as the only viable option in my environment, so I pursued it. Marquis has so many more options in front of him than I ever had. I just needed to see him pick one and put in the work. Sure, Marquis never following up on the sneakers might seem like a small thing. The type of irresponsibility and lack of initiative teenagers and young adults display all the time.
So what do you guys think about that? I would say that 50 Cent's son is indeed a son husband. There are some details I left out. The fact that 50 Cent, I believe at the beginning when he was making all that money, was paying them $25K, but the mom decided to take him to I guess child court or whatever they call it, and it got reduced down to $6,700 a month, which is still a lot of money just to be having. And that means the mom probably wasn't working. She probably wasn't doing no type of numbers. She was just sitting there just trashing 50, just garbage, just, infecting the kid's brain. And I would say that makes him a son husband because he didn't come to his conclusions. I'd say that a few rules that I would have for you as a man to not be a son husband in the future would be, first, to come to your own conclusions. Live your own life. And then maybe I would also say to, I guess look at your mom critically or think critically. Yeah, we all would like to think that our mom is perfect, but there are things that, you should think about when your mom is communicating with others or communicating with maybe your dad. And that should kind of help you determine what kind of person your mom is. Is she a difficult person to deal with? Is she just terrible, or is she a good person and all the bad things happen to her, So I'll go on a little bit more in detail. Number one, coming to your own conclusion. Without your mom giving you too much influence, you should be able to think for yourself. Is your dad really a trash dude? Like I told you about how my dad did me, and I didn't talk about everything that he's done, but I came to my own conclusion right there. I didn't let my mom influence me, although she never said anything about him. I came to my own conclusion, and you should do the same thing. Number two, living your life, not your mom. If your mom wants you to dump a girl that actually makes you happy and treats you well and you think she's pretty and all this kind of stuff, then that's not up to your mom to decide that. On the other hand, if your girlfriend treats your mom like garbage and your mom is really a good mom, then that makes you a beta male for sticking around. But otherwise, you should do what makes you happy. Also, when it comes to living your own life, I think that you should follow your own career path because, yeah, it may be a good, safe career path that will make you money, but you won't be happy towards the end. You'll be like, man, I wish I would have had followed this and followed that. And now, now I'm here, I'm 40 years old, I got a pot belly, and I ain't got no hole because I got down, oh man, I ain't do it. So yeah, man, you should be living your life and do the things that you feel are right. And yeah, you may have to learn and bump your head a little bit, but it'll be better than you sitting there and listening to your mom and she didn't have the right answers because she never had the experience with this particular thing. So that's another thing. Yeah, sometimes your moms do be right though. So I'm not gonna lie. My mom has said a couple, 2-3 things, and I was like, damn, I should have listened to mama. But not all the time. There are certain times where you gotta trust your own gut. Number three, think critically of your mom's behavior. I talked about it earlier. How does your mom act? is she actually genuinely a good person, or she just happen to be good to you because, yeah, she makes sure you eat and she spoils you and make sure you get the latest Jordans and all that kind of stuff? How does she treat other people around you? How is she at work? You know, is she, I guess, a on-time woman? Is she a hard worker? You know, is she difficult to deal with from other people? Those, you know, those little things right there, man, and that will kind of help you to decide whether or not, you know, maybe your mom is just kind of doing the most. Because I actually have a dude that I know whose mom, she kind of son husband him in a little bit. She didn't really son husband him, but she told him that his dad never wanted to see him, and once he got older, she finally admitted that she just wouldn't allow him to see him. And his dad even came back and was like, "Oh yeah, that is what happened." And so, you know, he felt really stupid. His mom didn't treat him well. She talked trash to him all his life. So that's just an example right there. But I don't know. I hope this video helps a little bit. If I left anything off of the no son husband checklist, any of my dads or men who have more experience, go ahead and drop that down in the comments below. We got to help everybody out here, help each other to be better. But yeah, that's it for the video right there, man. Don't be out here. I guess at the same time, I would say, don't be like 50 Cent to the point where you're not being around your son. I don't know how the mom was, you know, if she was backdooring him and not allowing him to see him and everything like that. You know, don't be absent in your son's life and expect everything to be all hunky dory. And then again as the son, don't just be out here listening to everything your mom says. Don't be a son husband. Try to be, you know, your own man. And that's all I got for today. If you're watching at this point, thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.